Welcome to the Vol Bros presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And speaking of the Ooltewah Club, we'll be broadcasting live from there next Thursday night. Looking forward to that, and we'll talk certainly more about that here in just a moment. But we have really two things that are kind of breaking news today. One is that the SEC voted, and next season, the SEC will be going to a 9-conference game schedule. Now, I would love to hear your opinions on this in the comments. Rustin and I have both kind of given our thoughts in the past. I am going to double down on what I've said in the past tonight. But Rustin, you want me to go first or you want to go first?
You can.
So here are my thoughts. So the way it is arranged, starting next season, every SEC school will play 9 games, 3 permanent crossover, 3 permanent traditional rivalry games are going to be preserved for every team. Then the other 6 games rotate every year. The remaining 3 football games, every SEC team is required to play one Power 4 opponent or Notre Dame, since they're an independent school. And so you're going essentially from the previous model, which was 8 conference games and 1 Power 4 opponent. So really 9 difficult football games, to now you have 9 conference opponents and 1 Power 4 opponent. So you have 10 difficult football games a year. Some people are like, well, the Big Ten, they've been playing 9 conference games for a while now. Yeah, guess what? The Big Ten also doesn't have the rule that they have to play 1 Power 4 opponent in an out of conference too. So, for example, the last 2 national champions, Ohio State and Michigan, did not have that requirement on them. I think the ultimate determining factor on if you are in favor of this or not is, what's your goal? Is your goal a more entertaining season? If that's your goal, then yeah, non-conference games is the way to go. Plus a Power 4 non-conference game, you've got yourself 10 really good football games in a year. If your goal is to make the college football playoff, then absolutely not. You should not be in favor of this, because you just gave yourself one more chance to tell the committee, no, don't pick us. Because let's be quite honest, all the committee has valued up until this point is wins and losses. That's it. And everybody knows that. Greg Sankey today on the Paul Feinbaum show straight up said the committee has valued wins and losses, and so they're going to need to the promise is that they're going to value strength of schedule more this year. Well, they've been saying that for years now. I'll believe that when I see it. They're still going to value wins and losses, because if you have a team that from the Big 12 that's 11-1 and they've played, John's School for the Blind and all this kind of stuff, and then you've got teams from the SEC who have played a much more difficult schedule and they're 9-3. Well, guess which team's going to get the nod for the playoff? It's still going to be the 11-1 school. Bottom line, there's no arguing that. So if your goal is to win a national championship, then you got to get in the college football playoff. If you want to be in the playoff, you make your schedule as easy as humanly possible. That's it, straight up. So am I in favor of the 9-game schedule? Absolutely not. I am not. I just can't be. I just can't be. Now, with that being said, as we look ahead, right now we already know who Tennessee's Power 4 opponent is going to be through the year 2030. So, VolQuest put this out earlier, so kudos to VolQuest. Next season, they go to Georgia Tech. That is their non-conference Power 4 opponent next year. Just for funsies, they also host Furman and Kennesaw State. So there's 2 wins guaranteed next year. Although Furman's a good team, there's 2 wins next year. I think they'll beat Georgia Tech too. But anyway, so 2027, they is the second half of the home and home with Georgia Tech. So they will host Georgia Tech in 2027. They'll also play Tennessee State and Western Michigan. The Western Michigan game should actually be pretty good. Then in 2028, they have a neutral site game with West Virginia. That's their Power 4 non-conference game in 2028, which is interesting because Camden Goforth will be at West Virginia by that point. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays against him. For those who may not know, Camden Goforth is a high school senior this year in McMinn County and here in Athens, Tennessee. So he will be playing at West Virginia. He's already committed offensive lineman. That game is in Charlotte in 2028. Then I think this is actually pretty cool. 2029 and 2030, there's a home and home with Washington. So in 2029, we go to Washington. Or excuse me, I said that backwards. In 2029, we host Washington. And then in 2030, we go to Seattle, Washington to play them. So the Big Ten might finally be like, yeah, you're finally playing non-conference games. Well, then they need to start playing a Power 4 non-conference game every year too. That's my take on that. Ruston, what is your take on going to non-conference games?
So I didn't see the interview with Greg Sankey today. Did he specifically say they were going to begin to put a premium on strength of schedule?
He said that they have been promised that the committee will put, value strength of schedule more now.
Okay. So here's the cons to the 9-game schedule. We already have an expanded playoff. They're playing more games than they've ever played before. With 9 conference games combined with a Power 4 opponent, combined with an expanded playoff, injuries are going to be rampant because they're just going to take more hits than they can handle. So it's good that they just expanded the roster scholarships because we're going to need more players. The other con to that is because we need more players, we're gonna pilfer the mid-majors even more than we already are. And mid-major football is about to go in the tank. It's going to be pathetic to watch. So that's going to be a massive problem. Here's the pros. If Greg Sankey said they've agreed, or however he phrased it, to focus on strength of schedule, that means strength of schedule is about to be the number one priority because Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti run the NCAA. Whatever the two of them say, the NCAA says, yes, sir. How would you like that spelled out? So those two human beings decide everything. And, if they're saying that we're going to put a priority on strength of schedule, that's the only Greg Sankey's a dollars guy. Like all he cares about is revenue. If he knows that this is not going to hurt revenue because he has that assurance that strength of schedule is going to be the priority, then okay, it's a pro. What I don't like is the extra Power 4 game. If we're going to play 9 conference games, we shouldn't have to play another Power 4. It's a huge pro for Northwestern. They're about to be, getting money thrown at them hand over fist by every school in the SEC. Because everybody's going to want that cupcake on their schedule as their Power 4 opponent. So Northwestern's about to make bank off this deal. But
well, and to your point there, mid-major programs, they rely on these, Power 4 conferences to be
money games,
feeding them. Yeah, exactly. And now we're taking another one away from them.
Yep. So, I mean, if at the end of the day, it is what it is. If Greg Sankey's good with it, I'm good with it because he runs the NCAA. He's gotten the assurance that strength of schedule is going to be the number one priority. Otherwise, he never would have done this.
Yeah, I hope it comes to fruition. That's my hope. Vol for Life in Texas. He said, good evening, fan. Good to have you, buddy. He said, I personally love the non-conference game schedule. Mississippi Vol said, well, you look up and it's Thursday already, the gateway to the weekend. Do you guys realize we're only 9 days away? Looking forward to a nice discussion. We appreciate you joining us, Mississippi Vol. John, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. John is for the 9-game schedule. He gave a thumbs up for it. VFL Texas said, who do you think will be our 3 permanent rivals? So all the talk so far is that it's going to be Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. And that's what he said as well. John said the same thing. I mean, I'll be surprised if it's not those 3. They're going to make Vanderbilt one of them for sure, just because it's this in-state school. I think Alabama's a lock because it's the 3rd Saturday in October. It's the 2 founding institutions of the Southeastern Conference. It is literally why the Southeastern Conference was made, was those 2 schools. So those will certainly, Bama and Vanderbilt are locks. Now, who that 3rd one is, could it be Kentucky? I mean, as Tennessee fans, we'd love that because it's a win. Could it end up being Georgia or Florida? Yeah, I could see that too. So all the talk is Bama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, though.
That's probably what it'll be.
Mississippi Vol said, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, too. Totally agree. It's fantastic advice. Let's see. VFL and Texas said, I know it's an in-state rivalry, but I could do without Vanderbilt every year. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. But it's also a win. And if we have to play 9 conference games plus a Power 4, then
if Vanderbilt's, I mean, if Purple Vandy's going to get taken by every other SEC school, we should get to play Vandy.
Purple Vandy is Northwestern, if anybody was wondering. Elijah, what's up, buddy? There's a channel member, a watch party fan member. He said, what's up, bros? Good to have you, Elijah. Rebel Jew, welcome, buddy. He said, good evening. Will's with us, too. Welcome, Will. Good to have you. Rebel Jew said he's looking forward to the non-conference games. Elijah said, if the playoff committee does what they say they're going to do with really focusing on strength of schedule and quality of schedule, then I like the move. If they don't, which is more likely, then I don't like the move.
I agree. Again, Greg Sankey's all about revenue. If he thought this would in any way hurt revenue, there's no way he would have allowed it to happen. And I'm not exaggerating when I say Greg Sankey and Tony Batiti run the NCAA now. Like the SEC and the Big Ten, they have so much leverage. If those 2 men ever went to the NCAA and said, hey, guess what? We're out. The NCAA collapses the next day. So, they can't afford for those 2 individuals to be unhappy. So whatever they want, they will get.
John was giving us his best Greg Sankey impression. Show me the money. Brendan, what's up, buddy? Good to have you. He said, go Seahawks, Ruston. Let's see.
Came up a little short tonight. Lost 30-28 in overtime.
Yep. VFL and Texas said they announced yesterday that they'll take into consideration things like strength of schedule. So you don't think it's a coincidence that the SEC announced this the day after that announcement. Totally fair point. Sam, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said this will put the SEC at an even bigger disadvantage in terms of strength of schedule. The Big Ten was favored in the selection process this past year and may be ongoing. Well, I mean, there's certainly no denying that the bottom half of the Big Ten is weaker than the bottom half of the SEC.
But at the same time, the bottom half of the SEC this past year hurt everybody else. The bottom half of the SEC this past year was really bad, and it hurt everybody.
Robert, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. He said, I can't believe Sankey caved to the Big Ten. Sam said,
yeah, I can promise you Greg Sankey caves to no one. Greg Sankey makes decisions based on how much the SEC will make. And if he makes a decision that we're going to 9 games, it's because he's been guaranteed money will flow.
Now, Sam makes a very good point here that nobody said yet. Sam, welcome, buddy. He said a 9-game SEC schedule will reduce opportunities for developmental players and increase injuries. And so Ruston mentioned the increase in injuries. which, I mean, unfortunately, sadly, that's statistically very likely to happen. And the very interesting point here that Sam has made is this also does reduce opportunities for players getting time on the field, because those. I mean, okay, if we think over the last several years of Tennessee football schedule, I mean, you've got 8 conference games, 1 Power 4 opponent that's non-conference, and 3 FBS games. Those 3 FBS games, listen, every true freshman, every redshirt freshman, and all their families were circling those days on their calendars because they knew those were days when little Johnny's going to get to play, and that was no longer going to be the case.
So the flip side of that coin, though, could be this will force coaches to expand their rotation because the risk for injury is higher. So a lot of guys who would have normally played 4 and redshirted may play in 5, 6, or 7 now because you got to expand your rotation to make sure people stay fresh. So it actually might work in the opposite direction. There might be more development happening earlier because they can't risk injury.
Will makes a good point here. I'm going to give a counterpoint, but Will says Ohio State might not have that requirement of requiring a non-conference Power 4 opponent, but their main upcoming non-conference games are with a home and home with Texas, a home and home with Alabama, and a home and home with Georgia. And that's a fantastic point. And I'm glad you said that. But the could it be, I'm not saying this is the case, I kind of am, but could it be that Ohio State's athletic director, who is an excellent athletic director, he understands the perception of the SEC and the perception of the Big Ten. And he knows that if they schedule major must-see TV games, which all of these would be, with the SEC, if Ohio State wins that, then they're in the driver's seat for a number 1 seed the whole year long. So they're certainly not ducking anybody by playing these games. They're playing a really tough schedule here. But could it be that the athletic director knows they need a tough non-conference opponent to strengthen their own schedule because the in-conference schedule is so weak?
Well, this year they're actually playing Texas and Washington in non-conference. So and Washington is, I guess Washington's
is conference
now. I'm never going to get used to that.
Like so California being in the ACC.
Yeah. So they open with Texas, then they get 2 cupcakes, then they go to Washington. So 2 of their first 4 weekends are pretty tough.
But when you've got a rotation of Rutgers and Northwestern and, Maryland, when you've got a rotation of those schools on your schedule, it does bring down the degree of difficulty a little bit.
But again, the rest of the country can point to the SEC and go, yeah, but y'all have Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt.
That's true.
So, I mean, right now, the bottom half of the SEC isn't much better.
Mr. Osborne, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, good evening, Vol Bros, fellow chat members. Hope everybody's doing well. There's a Watch Party fan member. We appreciate him. David, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, college football is becoming college basketball, where the hardest schedule matters if you have 2 or 3 losses. And we will definitely be going to 2014 playoffs by 2030. Man, I hope not.
If that happens, the conference championships are officially gone.
I would
honestly do that. I'd be more than happy to trade the conference championship for an extra playoff round.
I mean, it would be so diluted by that point. And I know the argument is, well, look at college basketball. You got major upsets and stuff like that. The statistical likelihood of that happening in college football, though, is much lower. I don't know. I think even Sankey was asked about that today too. And he reiterated, he said that those have been proposed. He's looked at them. He thinks a 16-team playoff is what they need to stand firm on. I think 16 is plenty. But money, right? If the money matter, if the 2014 playoff can generate more money than conference championship weekend, then it'll happen. I mean, that's the bottom line. It'll happen if that's the criteria. And at that point, though, you're right. There would no longer be conference championship games because there literally would not be time to have conference championship games. So that they would be gone at that point. Audrey, welcome, Audrey. Good to have you. There's a Watch Party fan member. She's talking about Cam Goforth. She said he's a beast, and I hate that Tennessee couldn't be bothered to give him an official visit. Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, we all know he would have been a Vol. If they wanted him, he would have been a Vol. Mina Likey, welcome. There's a channel member. She said, good evening, Vol Bros, and the best chat on the interwebs. Totally agree with that statement. Jonathan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hello, Evan, Ruston, and chat family. I hope everyone's had a great week so far. I believe the rule of having to play a Power 4 opponent will be done away with. We'll see. Money. I mean,
it needs to be gone. It's a terrible policy.
Especially if the Big Ten doesn't have to do it. But money's ruling the day now. Let's see. Rebel Juice said, will the non-conference game schedule make Tennessee, Kentucky feel like an actual rivalry again? Feel like the SEC makes that our biggest rivalry despite Tennessee owning Kentucky. Let's see. Jonathan said, I knew they would expand the non-conference games because I believe the SEC and Big Ten will be the only two major football conferences in a few years. And the SEC had to go to 9 games to do that. Well, I mean, okay, so that's fair. If you're looking towards the future, we all know the ACC is on borrowed time. I mean, you have maybe the two biggest football programs in the conference with Florida State and Clemson publicly saying that they're looking around and shopping for other options. So we know the ACC is on borrowed time.
Well, I mean, North Carolina and Clemson flat said out loud they kicked the tires on joining the SEC next year. I mean, so.
Yep. VFL in Texas said the Power 4 non-conference is to make it fair for those teams like Florida who always play Florida State non-conference. So those games are preserved. The Florida State will still happen. And you know what? If they choose to play Florida State as one of their non-conference games, more power to them. But that shouldn't dictate for Tennessee to have to do the same thing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as fair. That's their fault for scheduling them. It's just like Georgia and Georgia Tech. It's just proximity. It's not our fault that you've got a rival in-state that's good. Our in-state rival sucks. If they were good, it'd be different, but they're not. So
Sam said, while Ohio State plays some good out-of-conference games, the rest of the Big Ten not so much. Maybe we can schedule Rutgers. Yeah, sign me up.
Y'all keep knocking Rutgers. Rutgers isn't that bad anymore. They've gotten significantly better.
Sean, welcome, buddy. There's a channel member. He said, I think I saw Andy On3 say today that there could be a chance the SEC can take the extra game and renegotiate for even more money from ESPN for the extra inventory. No, I mean, it's all about money. I mean,
yeah. I guarantee you that conversation has already started.
Oh yeah. Mr. Osborne said, I came in late. We are definitely going to 9 games. Yep. It was decided this evening, actually. Later in the afternoon on Feinbaum. Feinbaum got the first press conference with Greg Sankey on SEC Network, and they announced it and started talking about it. Let's see. Mina Laggy said, hit that thumbs up. I think that's great advice. Hey, she's using the custom emojis. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Osborne said Kentucky will scream bloody murder if they're not one of the 3 permanent ones. Yeah, you're right. He said he's heard it over a year. It's Bama, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. Jonathan said, don't forget to tell your mom and them about the Vol Bros. I think that's excellent advice. HT14 said we better beat Georgia this year because we probably won't have them every year after this year. You're exactly right. We won't have them unless they're the 3rd, which I don't think they will be. But if they are, then we'll still have them. Robert said, welcome, Robert. He said, propose for Tennessee 3 designated teams of South Carolina, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. I've heard South Carolina, as rumors, but I'd be shocked if they were one of the 3. VFL in Texas said, I'm thinking conference championship games are now legitimately in jeopardy, especially if we go to 16 teams.
Yep.
Mr. Osborne said, rumor / wildcard 13 with South Carolina, not Kentucky. Yeah, I heard that too months ago, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I Bleed Orange said he likes the 9 games. Mr. Osborne said because South Carolina only has Georgia as a natural rival. Big Orange said, let's see. Oh, he's saying if you're a Tennessee and a Texas fan, you don't lose much. That's right. VFL said season ticket holders get another quality home game this way too. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Big Orange said go Vols. Jonathan said also congrats to Lady Vol Soccer, an amazing start to the season. Absolutely. 2 out of 3 games were 2 top 5 wins. They beat UNC and then they beat UCLA. It was ranked 5th. So pretty awesome. Sean said, do you think this was a give in to the Big Ten in order to agree with the SEC playoff expansion model?
No. Greg Sankey runs the NCAA. He and Tony Petitti got together, worked this out. This is just them creating more revenue. And again, they have complete leverage over the NCAA. I said it a minute ago, I'm going to say it again. If those 2 men ever walked into the NCAA headquarters and said, hey, we're out, the next day the NCAA goes bankrupt. So they run the show.
Yeah. Oriole Puppy Dog said he wants Georgia as the 3rd one. Will said those games are scheduled during the prior AD's tenure. That's good to know. Elijah said my favorite ACC school, California. Favorite Atlantic Coast Conference school, the great University of California. An institution of higher learning that doesn't understand geography is that's what it sounds like, huh? Let's see. Audrey said neither Michigan nor Ohio State played one single Power 4 opponent out of conference in the years they won national championships. Yep, until they got to the playoffs. You're right. That's exactly right. Elijah said he'd take the bottom 3 of the SEC over the bottom 3 of the Big Ten any day of the week. Sam said the bottom half still beat Alabama and Ole Miss last year. There's never a chance a bottom half Big Ten team knocks off Ohio State or Penn State. That's fair. And Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year. Let's see. Will said, Audrey, we played Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame in the playoffs. You're right. Yep. I Bleed Orange said, everyone in here is going to hate me. My favorite format was the BCS. Every game you played meant everything. I get that, but listen, every game you play right now means everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if, you're talking about one game being okay. South Carolina fans, ask them. They were one game away from the college football playoff last year. If they win one game that they lost, they're in the playoff. Every game matters. Big Orange is back on baseball. We're going to get to baseball here in just a minute, actually. Tony Vitello had a very interesting interview on Swain, Josh and Swain today. Let's see. Will said Ryan Day said he thinks 4 automatic bids are needed to keep playing great teams in the non-conference portion of the schedule, or the incentive to schedule those types of games isn't there anymore. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, where is the benefit of scheduling difficult games? Volcano said, does this mean a 16-team playoff?
Hope so.
Well, I mean, I think we could all agree there's going to be at least a 16-team playoff. Will it go more than that? That's the question. I mean, there's for sure going to be at least 16 teams.
It's not like the NCAA has a whole nother division that does that every year and already has the exact template for how to do it. Oh, wait, They do.
Yep. Carl, welcome, buddy. There's a channel member. He said, we should schedule UCLA next time. I agree, man. Let's see. John said, I say we play Northwestern and Purdue every year. Yeah, absolutely. Rebel G makes a very good point. He said, Tennessee doesn't need Kentucky, but Kentucky needs us. We don't see them as a rivalry, but they see us as one. Yeah, you're exactly right. Audrey's officially cast her vote that no to South Carolina joining those three teams. I'd agree with you on that. Sam said, since Tony Petitti's running everything, the SEC should be able to save the money he's paid to Greg Sankey. Minolaki agrees with Audrey. Rebel G said, if Clemson comes to the SEC, I can see them being a rival game for Tennessee eventually. That's fair due to proximity. Tony said, just remember every other year, each team will have 5 road games. Yep, that's exactly right. Because you got you got an odd number of 9. So, I mean, one year you're going to have 4 home games, one year you're going to have 5. Yep, absolutely. Mr. Osborne said, I hope it's Bama, Vandy, Kentucky. I heard that each conference member should receive another $5 million minimum due to 9 games. Yeah, I mean, money, right? He said Alabama's potential 3 teams are Tennessee, LSU, and Auburn. Yikes. I mean, you know it's going to be Tennessee and Auburn. So do they help them out on the third one, or do they keep it LSU? That's tough. I Bleed Orange said, do you see where we flipped Kamari Blair from South Carolina today? We did. In-state offensive lineman. That was a big deal. Carl said it can't play Purdue if there's going to be ACC officials. Because you cross the goal line and they don't call it a touchdown. Carl said, jumped in, bros. Have stuff to do before bed. Catch y'all later. Hey, we appreciate you, man. We're glad you're with us, Carl. Hope you have a good evening, buddy. Since since Big Orange has talked about baseball a whole lot in the comments, I guess I'll go ahead and do that before we talk about the rule changes. Very interesting interview with Tony Vitello today on Josh and Swain on the Sports Animal. During the interview, Tony Vitello revealed that Nike, side note, if you've watched our show, then you know, especially during baseball season, a lot of people were asking about Cruz Schoolcraft. Is he going to come to is he going to make it to campus? Is he going to get drafted? 6'10", I think 6'9", 6'10", left-handed pitcher out of Oregon. Is he going to make it to campus? Well, turns out he ended up not only getting drafted, he was drafted in the first round. So he will not be making it to campus. He is going to the pros. Tony Vitello revealed today during the interview with Josh and Swain that Nike actually made a counter offer to Cruz Schoolcraft. When they found out he was coming to Tennessee, they counter offered trying to get him to stay at Oregon. Nike did. Tennessee is a Nike school. So they recruited against one of their own schools, which, side note, also shows you that Tennessee's been in talks with Adidas for probably at least a year. Because and Nike knew that. And so Nike literally recruited against one of their own schools.
Can't imagine why, when they had the opportunity to counteroffer Adidas, they chose not to respond.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If anybody regrets leaving Nike after hearing that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, they literally tried to that's like Andy Bernard on that episode of The Office. Saboteur. I mean, they literally tried to stab Tennessee in the back. Good riddance, man. Good riddance. I could not believe it when he said it. I was like, this is absolutely unbelievable and unacceptable. So good riddance, Nike. It was fun while it lasted. And hopefully we never see you again. That's my opinion at this point. Just unreal. Give me Sports Bell before we ever go back to Nike. That's my take on it now. Let's see. I Bleed Orange said, can you imagine how bad we would beat Purdue? We'd have to be 30-point favorites. Jonathan said, within the next 10 years, the NCAA or SEC/Big Ten, whatever it's called then, will have the same playoff format as NFL probably.
Yep.
Mr. Osborne said, Purdue, a team that we Tennessee has never defeated in football.
True statement.
Will said, Phil Knight, who runs Nike, don't mess around. He just donated $2 billion to Oregon. Yep. And Swain made a really good point. Jason Swain made a really good point. He said, and Tony Vitello said this too. And I didn't know this, but apparently Adidas's headquarters is very close to Nike in Oregon. But he said, he went out there to meet with all them and stuff. And he said, just like Nike has made Oregon their flagship school, Adidas has now made Tennessee their flagship school. And he said, that's going to open some eyes. And he was pretty pumped about it. So that was cool.
Just to clarify, yes, Phil Knight donated $2 billion to Oregon, but none of that is for athletics. They're building a new cancer research hospital, and he's funding the entire hospital.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Big Orange is still pumped about the baseball, man. He's all about it. That's what I'm talking about. Audrey said, hey, Big Orange, we have a hat on our website that I think you would love. There's two options, smoky gray and dark mode. And it's got a goat with 22 on it for Tony Vitello. I think you'd love it, man. thevolbros.com/shop. I invite you to check it out. Audrey, do I detect a hint of sarcasm in your sentence? She said, I'm shocked about Nike, I tell you. That's pretty good. Let's see. Deborah said season, not system. I'm not sure what she's referring to. I didn't see another comment where she said, okay, Deborah, you gotta let me know what you're referring to. I'm sorry. I don't understand that one. Like he said, how is that allowed? A really good NIL deal was Crew Schoolcraft. A really good NIL deal.
Well, I mean, the same way that, let's be honest. What's about to happen? The women's basketball vice president for Adidas is Candace Parker. I guarantee you, Lady Vol basketball is about to have an exclusive NIL deal with Adidas. Yeah. And that will extend to their high school recruits. So, especially recruits that are in states that allow NIL. So, which Tennessee is one of. Mm-hmm. So, I can almost guarantee you Adidas is about to be sending money to high school girls in the state of Tennessee who are future Lady Vols.
Mm-hmm. Sam said, does Tennessee have any fashion design folks that can help with uniforms? That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
Like an entire office full of them.
But yes, they do. Yes, they do. And hopefully we will never see those tire marks on the shoulders that we saw in 2013, 2014 Adidas uniforms. Hopefully we'll never see that. Deborah said, I apologize, Deborah, I didn't see that comment. I'm sorry. She said, will a ninth game be added to the end of the season? Will it affect bye weeks? That's a great question. So it will be incorporated. Essentially what's going to happen is one of the 3 non-conference games that we have right now with an FBS team will go away. So for example, this year we play ETSU and then I don't even remember who the second one is. And then New Mexico State at near like 3/4 of the way through the season. So essentially like what I would guess is one of the first, because they probably want to spread out those FBS games to give themselves a breather, a second bye week, I guess or a third bye week, I guess you could say. So probably that one of the first couple games of the season that will now actually be replaced with the SEC, the 9th SEC game. So, It's just going to be incorporated in, but it won't affect bye weeks. There will still be 2 bye weeks per season. That's a good question because I didn't mention that earlier. Thank you for asking that. Let's see. Big Orange just saw our hats on our website. Appreciate you, man. Hey, go get you one. Go get you one. I'd appreciate that too. I believe Orange said, Ruston, what is that hat you have on?
It's our kids' school.
Yep.
I just came from my son's middle school football game.
David asked, did y'all hear about the UTC campus lockdown today? I did. Thankfully, it was a false alarm.
Yeah, just a hoax.
Yep, someone called in a threat that actually was not real. And I'm sure that person is regretting their decision now. Because it wasn't just UTC. When UTC locked down, every government building in downtown Chattanooga also locked down.
And Erlanger, because they didn't know if they were about Erlanger is the hospital locally near UTC. They locked down as well because they weren't sure if they were about to have a mass casualty event.
And the Times Free Press did as well. So the local newspaper, which is at the bottom of the hill from where ETC is, also locked down. So there were a bunch of buildings that locked down downtown, and it was whoever made that phone call, they're not having a great evening. Let's see. Audrey said, I'm completely nonplussed. My plus has never been so nonned regarding Nike. Let's see. I believe Orange said, we're talking about Lady Vols basketball. He said, are you guys high on Lady Vols this year? Or are they middle of the pack? No, they will not be middle of the pack team.
They will be national top 10.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a shame that Ruby Whitehorn did what she did because she was suspended indefinitely from the team today.
If Ruby had not done that, my answer just now would have been national top 5.
Let's see. Volcano said, y'all think 9-game schedule is a good thing? So we mentioned that at the beginning. I invite you to go back and watch that. But my take is no, it is not, because I want to be in the playoff every year, and we just made it hard on ourselves. So why would we do that? That's money, money, money. That's what it all comes down to. Let's see. Rebel G said, does Tennessee have the highest apparel deal in the SEC with the Adidas deal? Tennessee now has the highest apparel deal in the country. So pretty cool. Oh, David, thank you. He reminded me it was UAB. I couldn't think of who the second FBS team was. It's UAB. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mississippi Vol said, I admit when I first heard about the possibility of going to Adidas, I didn't like it at all. Now I'm very intrigued by the NL possibilities, more especially about women's basketball. Yep, for sure. Yep, Jonathan also said that about the country.
So there was something else Tony V said today on that interview with Josh and Swain that I thought was really interesting. And it's definitely true in baseball and softball, and it's starting to filter into other sports. They asked him how he felt about essentially they asked him how he felt branding would help or hurt recruiting. And his response was baseball and softball players don't care about brands. They care about customization. And he's right. I coach both. I'm around those worlds all the time. They really don't care about brands. They care about drip. They care about how they look. They care about customization. How unique to your team can your stuff be? That's a huge deal. And that's starting to trickle into other sports. So it'll be interesting to see, because he's already saying customization is top priority. When we talk about Creative 151 and the things that UT can do from the creative side, how much customization are they going to get to do? Like, it's clearly something he's already thinking about. So it could be interesting to see what they end up doing with this deal, because UT does have full creative rights. So this could end up actually being really cool.
Bobby, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He makes a great point. He said 151 Creative will be design responsible with Adidas, absolutely, and they're phenomenal at their job. So it's going to be exciting to see what they do. Rebel Juice said, I have so many Tennessee hats, got to add Volbro's hats to the collection. I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's a great idea. Let's see. David said, do y'all read Jay Greason from the Chattanooga Free Press? He contributes to Southeastern 16 channel. He is very down on this year. I think most people are. Because, I mean, our offense is so unknown. Like,
I will say, it's not a normal year that I would agree with anything Jay Greason says. So just keep that in perspective.
Big Orange just had a lot of comments about rock and roll. Right on, brother. Right on. Let's see. I believe Orange said, why would she do that? She threw away everything and chance of the WNBA. Yeah, for sure. It's very, very sad. Deborah said, for Ruston, do you think the addition of big NIL money that more kids will play football, increasing the number of talented players? It's life-changing money for some kids / their families. That's a good question.
Yeah. I think there will be a trickle-down effect. I think you'll see a lot more high school basketball players. On every high school campus in America, there's one or two basketball players that are 6'3", 6'4", really good athletes. And the football coaches are looking at them going, I can get you a Division I scholarship if you will come play wide receiver. And the kids looking at him going, no, I don't want to get hurt. I just play basketball. And they're like, there are 30,000 of you walking around the country. You're not going to get a scholarship for basketball. And if you do, it's going to be something small. You come play football and we will guarantee you a Division I scholarship because you're a 6'3" or 6'4" wide receiver who's athletic. So, yeah, I think you'll absolutely see more kids moving that direction, especially kind of tweener basketball players who are pretty good, but not necessarily good enough. Those kids can be great football players. And I think the other thing you'll see is you'll see more kids, and this is a negative. I think you're going to see more kids on the travel circuit. That's not a good thing. There's too many kids on the travel circuit now, and it's watered down because of it. The major problem with school ball is most school seasons coincide with the college season. So college coaches can't see them in season, so they have to see them during travel seasons. And it just waters down the products so much. So I think we're going to see even more people going into travel sports because they're going to want to be seen. They're trying to leverage NIL deals. And then at the college level, like I said, mid-major football is going to be unwatchable. Now that they've expanded the roster scholarships and every team's going to be able to carry more players, the big Power 4 schools are all going to load up on the best players they can get their hands on. And if you've got a bunch of extra NIL money, you can create a package for every single player, even your third, fourth, fifth string guys. So, the mid majors can't compete with that, and they're just going to be floundering.
Big Orange said, I rocked out for the 2024 Vols every time I heard classic rock come on. It would send chills down my spine. 103.5 classic rock. And not, yeah, if he's not working for you already, he needs to, because he is all about it. So 103.5 classic rock. Check out this guy. He's the man. He's the man. Let's see. Robert said, if Ruby's not found guilty, then she'll still be a Lady Vol. Yeah, but she's going to be found guilty is the thing.
She's the only way she's found not guilty is if some technicality happens.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't bust down a lady's door and then bust down another door in her house. And yeah, I mean, like, not a good situation for Ruby.
Well, and then claim it's self-defense.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work.
Volcano said, is a 9-3 SEC team going to make the playoff because of the 9-game conference schedule? See, yeah, that's the thing. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. Well, first of all, I think it depends on how many teams are in the playoff.
Yeah, Greg Sankey is not going to agree to adding a 9th game unless he has had the assurance that strength of schedule will be the highest priority. And in that situation, a 9-3 SEC team has the strength of schedule needed.
I know. I guess I'm jaded because, like, what if a Big 12 runner up? I get it. I understand. But, like, what if the Big 12 runner up? Let's say it's a 16-team playoff, and let's say you've got Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and LSU are all somewhere between 10-2 and 12-0. And so you've got 5 teams right there from the SEC that are for sure in the playoff. And you've got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, and Washington from the Big 12, who are all 10-2 or higher. Well, that's 10 teams right there. The 5-5 for sure that are in. And then let's say you've got Florida State. They had a good year, normal year. They're 10-2. Clemson went 10-2. You've got obviously a Big 12 champion. Texas Tech spent a ton of money, and they had somebody go out and use oil money, and so now they're going 11-1 in a weak conference. So now you're up to 14 more teams, and so now you've got 2 teams from the Big 12, 2 teams from the ACC, 5 from the SEC, 5 from the Big 10, and you got to sneak in the highest ranked non-Power 4 school. So now you only have 1 spot left.
So here's the other reason why.
Well, hang on. Let me finish that. So you got 1 spot left, and you've got Iowa State, a Big 12 team, who went 11-1 or 12 or 10-2, and you've got Florida, who went 9-3. Are they going to give Florida the nod? Or let's say Iowa State went 11-1, and Florida went 9-3. Are they going to give Florida the nod over Iowa State?
So some years, strength of schedule has to matter at a high level.
I agree.
Because some years the committee is going to be weirdly built, and this year is one of those years. So people may not realize this, but the selection committee changes every year. It's a totally different group of people every single year. So, last year, Ward Manuel, Michigan's AD, led the committee. This year, it's actually Mack Rhodes, Baylor's athletic director, is leading the committee. And the committee, I was just pulling it up to see who was named to it, and it's fascinating. It's Mark D'Antonio, who used to be the head coach at Michigan State. It's Ivan Maisel, the Sports Illustrated sports writer. Wesley Walls is the player representative. He's a former tight end from Ole Miss. And then the last 2 are just bizarre. The athletic director at Miami of Ohio and the athletic director at Middle Tennessee State. So
there you go.
MTSU's AD is on the NCAA playoff selection committee.
Go Blue Raiders. Keep us in mind.
along with a former player, Miami of Ohio's athletic director, a former Sports Illustrated sports writer, a head coach who got fired years ago from Michigan State, and the current athletic director at Baylor. So it's a weird group. So
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how much priority they put on strength of schedule.
The good news is probably none of those teams will be playoff contenders, except maybe Baylor. So hopefully there's no conflict of interest there. David said, "Does Boo start next Saturday?" No. Will Heupel keep him out for the whole game? No. I think you will see him return the very first punt in the game.
Yep.
So I think he will. I don't think he'll start, but I think he'll play probably the majority of the game. They can't lose that game. They have to win. It's sad but true. Carson Talk Sports, welcome. He said, "Is there still time to sign up for the Valbros College Pick'em Challenge?" 100% there is. You can sign up all the way through Friday. Friday at 3:00 p.m. is when picks have to be submitted. So
next Friday. Right?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. The 29th, next Friday. So you still got a whole week. So absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute too. Sam said, and the Michigan AD will lead the playoff, but it'll be fair. That's pretty good. Let's see. Okay, a lot of baseball stuff. I'm scrolling through the comments. I'm down to the last three here. Deborah said, "I would think SEC coaches were very opposed to adding another game just from increased injury odds." 100%. I'm assuming athletic directors voted on that, not coaches.
Yeah. And those athletic directors were given marching orders from presidents who like $1 million checks.
Yeah, for real. Audrey said, "Anytime I hear the word committee, all I can think of is Coach Leach talking about a committee." I agree with him 100%. Sam said, "In the current arms race, how long can we afford to be in everything school?" Well,
as long as we're Adidas's top priority, we can be in everything school as long as we want to be. Because right now they're giving us more money than any other apparel companies giving anybody in the country.
Exactly. Yep, Jonathan said the same thing. He's like, "I think Adidas is making us in everything school." I mean, that benefits Adidas too, right? I mean, think about our women's soccer team right now. Adidas has to be salivating that our women's soccer team is probably going to be ranked number 1 in the country. The next rankings that are put out, because they've had 2 top 5 wins in 3 games.
And those 2 top 5 wins were over Nike and Under Armour.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's got to be huge for Adidas, especially with soccer doing well. Sam said, "When do you think we'll see the next high-ranking draft pick sit because of injuries
this year?"
Yeah, probably so. David said, "Biggest question on Saturday: who will be our starting wide receivers?"
Well, now that Chris Brazel's been exonerated, it'll be him, Staley, and
Mike Matthews. Yeah, the only one that might not is Braylon Staley. He did come back to practice, but technically, I don't know how bad. Nobody knows how bad his injury was because Tennessee will never say anything about injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But he is back at practice now, practicing. So maybe him. He might be the only one. Mike Matthews for sure. Brazel for sure.
He'll be fine. They've got a week worth of therapy and stuff they can do. He's out there running around practicing. He'll be fine.
So 2 shows ago, we were asked a question about the new fake injury rule, and we didn't have time to answer it. We didn't have time to answer it last show too. And we've already been live for an hour now, but we're gonna answer it real quick. The question was, do we think that the new fake injury rule will help Tennessee? So I'm just gonna read the rule. This is just what it says, and then we can talk about what it says after that. Starting this season, the 2025 season, if a player, now the next four words are very important. If a player presents themselves as injured, that is how it's worded. Presents themselves as injured after officials have spotted the ball, that player's team will be charged a timeout, or a delay of game penalty will be assessed if the team has no timeouts remaining. The player must also sit out at least one play, regardless of whether a timeout has been assessed or not. And they cannot return unless they receive approval from the team's medical personnel. Now, interesting there, previously, if someone got hurt and they stop the clock, everybody goes out and checks on them, they were supposed to come out of the game, but if you call a timeout, then they could just play the very next play anyway. They can't do that anymore. But the big thing here is if the player presents themselves as injured after the officials have spotted the football, then that team is charged a timeout or a delay a game penalty. Rustin, what do you think about that rule? Will it help Tennessee?
I don't see it.
Because the workaround now is not, they're moving fast. Okay, go down. You can't do that. The workaround now is before the guys run out onto the field, who the designated fake injury person is. And if they have a massive play, that person knows they have to go down before the officials can spot the ball.
I mean, there are so many rules in the NCAA rule book that were knee-jerk reactions. And, college football coaches are smart. They think through ways to use the rule or leverage the rule for their benefit. So if a player shows as injured after the ball is spotted, their team will be charged a timeout. If the team has no timeouts, they'll receive a 5-yard delay, a game penalty. Okay, so there's 25 seconds left in the game. The other team's about to score. Rather than just letting them run the ball in, you have a dude drop, stops the clock, you get a timeout basically out of it, and then you let them run it in on the next play from a closer distance. Doesn't take as long. So let's say you're on the 6-yard line and you take an intentional 5-yard delay game penalty to put them on the 1. They snap the ball and fall in. The touchdown only took 1 second instead of 3 or 4. So, there's ways you can leverage this to it actually be a positive for you. I see there will be so many things about these rules where coaches will figure out. Lane Kiffin will be the first. Coaches will figure out ways to leverage this stuff for their gain. And the NCAA has a habit of spelling this out a little too much, and it creates problems inadvertently.
A couple of the other rule changes that I think will be notable this year, teams will get one timeout in each of the first 2 overtime periods, which has always been the case. However, then starting with the third overtime, they only get one timeout for the rest of the game. So if you take it to that third overtime, you end up going 7 overtimes. You ain't stopping, calling timeout the rest of the time. Another one, this is funny because it's just semantics. They're trying to protect the officials. Instead of saying confirmed or stands after a replay review, the officials will only use the word upheld. They will not say confirmed or stands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's literally just protecting them in the playoff,
Yeah.
or not the playoff, the review committee. Let's see. They've heightened the whole defensive players can't use disconcerting words or signals things.
So I actually hate that rule. I think that rule needs to be thrown out. The original rule that they can't call a snap count, okay, no problem. But the whole they can't clap on defense is stupid. It's not the defense's fault that teams have gone to a snap count that's literally a clap. There's times when you're on defense, especially in Neyland, you can't hear. And so sometimes you have to wave your arms. Sometimes you have to clap your hands to try to get your teammates' attention. It's ridiculous that a linebacker can't clap their hands to get their teammates' attention, and it's a 5-yard penalty. It's just a stupid rule. And it's not their fault that teams have gone to a clap system to snap the ball. What really should happen is the NCAA should make a rule that teams can't clap to snap the ball. They should have to use a cadence or a silent count. But penalizing defensive players because the offense decided to clap their hands is a stupid rule.
And then the last one that I think is notable, and this one legit could actually impact a game and how a game ends. If the defense has more than 11 players on the field after the 2-minute timeout, which, I mean, Tennessee would never do that. Like, they would certainly never have 13 guys on the field.
Or 17 or 18.
Yeah. That team, if they have more than 11 players, they will be penalized, and the offense will be given the option to either reset the game clock, the offense will be given the option to reset the game clock, which then won't start until the next snap. So let's say they spot the ball at 14 seconds. Everybody's trying to run up to the line. There's confusion, like they're trying to get another guy on the field and he's waving for a guy to come out and he doesn't see him come out, that kind of thing. And the offense gets up, snaps the ball, and the defense, with like 8 or 9 seconds left, the defense gets penalized because they had 12 dudes on the field. The offense can then reset the game clock back to 14 seconds. And the clock will not start until they snap it. So essentially they got an extra timeout. I mean, that can legit change a game right there. If anybody's wondering, well, how, give me an example. Okay, Oregon and Ohio State last year when 1 second was left, and that whole deal, that can legitimately change a game if it were to happen where the team had more than 12 or 11 people on the field. All right, so couple things here before we sign off. I'm gonna finish catching up on the comments. Robert said, I wonder if Danny White will lower the ticket prices next year with all the Adidas money. Yeah, that's a good one, Robert. So he's referring to Danny raising the ticket prices for next year already, letting people know that they're going to go up 4%.
The only thing that'll make him lower ticket prices is if people stop paying them.
Yep.
So as long as he can increase it all he wants. If people keep paying, he can just keep increasing.
Yep, supply and demand. There's 25,000 people currently on the waiting list to get season tickets. He'll just keep raising it. I Bleed Orange said, who is that, Evan, in the background debate? That's Todd Helton right there. A signed thing from Todd Helton. My son got that for me. Let's see. David said, I think Joey has a Gardner Minshew senior season in 2018. Both had similar stories minus the trade. I hope you're right. I'd love that. Jonathan said, if a player goes down, they should have to sit the rest of the drive instead of one play. I 100% agree with you.
Problem is they don't have enough staff or officiating staff to monitor that and keep track.
Ricky said, so they're just going to fall down sooner. He's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, that they're going to have a designated, we have a designated player
Right.
on extra points.
That's what's going to be interesting is how long will it take referees to figure out that we have offensive linemen that fake injuries on extra points?
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, they're just going to take the same principle and put it on defense. They're going to know when they run out there, if the other team has a massive play, Jim Bob's falling down, I mean, like that's good. You're the guy, Jimmy, like they're going to have a designated player every time they run out on the field.
Just got to do it before they spot the ball.
That's exactly right. Audrey said, is this going to be called the fainting goat penalty? Essentially, yeah, basically. Volcano said, weird question. Did y'all hear Kent State might go back to the FCS because of the SEC Big Ten change? I didn't hear that.
I mean, it makes sense. If you can't get money games, you might as well drop down to a level you can make sure you win big.
Absolutely. So a couple things I wanted to remind everyone about. First of all, the Volbros College Football Pick'em Challenge. All you got to do, I'm going to share our website here just so everybody can see what I'm referring to. So if you go on our website, click on contest, thevolbros.com/contest. Right here, you can sign up to be in our Pick'em Challenge. It's a lot of fun. We pick the 10 best games every week all across the country. And at the end of the season, after 14 weeks, whoever has the best record gets a $50 Alumni Hall gift card. If you are a watch party fan member or an honorary fan member, you've already paid, like you're in. If you're a supporter fan, you only have to pay $3. Everybody else is just $5. That's it. So you pay $5 and you're in for the whole thing. You do have to pick teams every week. If you miss a week, you're disqualified. So you just come back to our website each week, pick your 10 games, you're done. Piece of cake, super simple. You can pay your $5 by clicking on the link right there on the form. So you just fill that out, and then right here you got your week 1 games. You just pick the games, click submit, and you're done. I mean, it's super, super simple. Takes 30 seconds if you want to do it quickly. I mean, it's super, super simple. Like Ruston said, the picks for week 1 are due by next Friday at 3:00 Eastern time, 3:00 p.m. Eastern time, because the first game on the list, Auburn at Baylor, is next Friday night. So like we have to have the picks in before that game starts. Then when let's say you submit picks today and then something happens, somebody gets hurt or something like that, could you update them? Yeah, you can update them as many times as you want. Just come back and submit the form, and then I will take your most recent submission as of 3:00 p.m. next Friday. I'll take that as your picks. And so it's so much fun, man. It's a lot of fun. So we invite you to join. It's a blast. Thevolbros.com/contest. Thevolbros.com/contest. And I will put that in the comments on both YouTube and Facebook right now. On Twitter, I'll try to get that on there here in a little bit. So that's one thing. The other thing, I want to remind everybody, mark your calendars. Go ahead and, get ready. A week from tonight, we will be live at a totally different time than normal. We're going to be live at 6:30 next Thursday night, live from the Oldewall Club, and we're going to have SEC football trivia night. It is going to be so much fun. You can play from wherever you are, and it's going to be totally free to join. If you win, you get an item of your choice on our merch store up to $50 value. And it's just going to be so much fun. So make sure that you join us next Thursday night for SEC football trivia night. There's going to be 50 questions. It's going to be 10 questions from each of the last 5 decades. So there's going to be 10 questions from the 1980s, 10 questions from the 90s, 10 questions from the 2000s, 10 questions from 2010s, and 10 from the 2020s. So it'll be so much fun. Make sure you're with us at 6:30 that night, because here's the thing. The first 1,000 people that join the game get to play. After that, the price jumped up like $300. It's costing us enough for just having 1,000. So first 1,000 people to join get to play. If you are a channel member, so that goes for anybody who's a channel member, I want you all to have a guaranteed spot essentially to play. So we have 20 channel members right now. So what I'm going to do, I will make a post on YouTube that is only visible, just a regular community post on YouTube that's only visible to channel members. And it will have the joining link and the code to get into the game. You all will get to see it starting at 6:00 p.m. that night. And then everyone else will get to see it at 6:30. And so the 20 of you all will certainly have, a shoe-in method to join at that time. It's going to be a lot of fun. What I'd like to do, and Rustin's about to find this out right now, because I thought about it about an hour ago. Well, an hour before we started, so I guess that was 2 hours ago. What I would like to do is this Sunday night, I want to test the software that we're going to be using to do that. And so we're going to have a little trivia on our show Sunday night. It's going to be Volbros trivia. I'm going to come up with some questions about me and Rustin. Some fun questions that, the answers will be like, which bro had this happen or something like that. And it'll be Ruston, Evan, neither or both kind of thing. And so it'll be a good time. I'll let you see the questions before I make it. But that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow morning. That's what I'm going to work on tomorrow morning. And so we're going to practice it live on our show Sunday night. And we'll have Ricky, good grief, Ricky. He said, who's the bigger Negaval, Evan or Rustin? That's pretty good. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to test it live. So if you're with us Sunday night at 9:00, it'll be a fun one because we'll have a little Volbros trivia. Y'all can get to know us, and it'll be a good time. So with that being said, Rebel G said, "Who's the oldest bro?" Not me. Not me. Maybe that could be a good one. How much older is Rustin? Let's see here. Some of the comments that came through that I hadn't got to yet. Carson said, Carson Talk Sports said, who wins the Iowa State Kansas State matchup? That's this weekend, so that's a good one. I'm glad he's asking.
Okay. Have you, this brought it up, so I got to say it. Have you seen the picture of the bar in Ireland with the flags?
So just so everybody knows why Rustin is saying this, that game is being played overseas. It's this weekend.
It's in Ireland. So they clearly Googled Kansas State flag and Iowa State flag, and they have two flags flying outside their restaurant. One is the Iowa State logo, and the other one is the state flag of Kansas.
Nice.
But they clearly typed in Iowa State flag, Kansas State flag, and then just ordered them through Amazon, and they got one right.
Matt said, hello, Fanatics. What did I miss? Hey, good to have you with us, Matt. There's a channel member. Oh, I just realized I didn't answer his question. Who do I think wins, Iowa State or Kansas State? I'm going to go with Kansas State on that one. Let's see. Jonathan said, oh, wait, hang on. Oh, it's just a whole bunch of Tony Vitello talk. Matt said, his Go Big Orange hat is on back order till 2029. Are you being for real?
So no, there's an LOL at the end of that.
Okay.
No, so I actually looked this up yesterday because I was curious because Richardson is having a hat shortage across the country in multiple styles. And the reason is Richardson doesn't make any of their own hats. Richardson hats are made in Vietnam, Bangladesh, and China. And so, because of current tariff issues, they sold out a bunch of their hats and they can't get more. And so Richardson is really struggling right now because they're unable to fulfill a lot of orders in a lot of different styles all over the country. And maybe this will incentivize them to build a factory in the United States because they're borderline losing their company right now. Like they need to figure out how they're going to fulfill these orders. Like I'm talking thousands of orders all over the country that aren't being moved.
Yeah, never a good thing. Never a good thing. Volcano said, "Are we going to see Alabama or Texas go 7-5 or 8-4 now because of this move?" No. No. Let's see. Deborah said, "Thanks for being the best interweb." Hey, I appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about. Ricky agrees with you silently. Ricky he's the guy who just asked who's the bigger neg of all. Ricky's an honorary bro. He likes to give us a hard time when he gets on here, but he secretly agrees with you, Deborah. But we appreciate that very much. We appreciate it. Matt said Dublin is cool. Let's see. Sean said, "I think Iowa State has a good shot, but I could see it go either way." Absolutely. Rebel Juice said, "Ireland seems like a far way to go to play football." Yep, I agree. He said, "Hope they get rest for the game." Matt said he's going to make a cat company. There you go. That's right.
So I will say, so this is a branded Bills, and they're in Tempe, Arizona. I will say, I always thought the Richardson, what is it, 115 or whatever, was the best hat on the market. Yeah, 112 was the best hat on the market, but I think the branded Bill may be better. I walked in the school spirit store the other day and saw the branded Bill logo, and I was like, "You had me at branded Bills. I don't even care if the hat's ugly. I'm buying that."
Luckily, that Vol Bros goat hat is the bomb, though. Everybody wants to get that one. I love it. I'm gonna have it on the table at the Oldwall Club next week, just so people can see it in person. I love it. Let's see. Ricky said he's gonna heckle Ruston in person on Saturday.
That's going to be awkward. So he's going to heckle me at a 6th and 7th grade girls basketball play day. That's I think they typically escort human beings out of middle school gyms for that.
That's like that grandmother that when my son was 5, or no, 6. He was 6. And he's playing like upward basketball, and there's this grandmother watching the game before us. She's sitting behind the goal, and this kid airballs a layup, and she starts heckling the kid from the 6-year-old from the other team, going airball. She's a grandmother heckling a 6-year-old. I was like, holy cow.
There may have the school we were at tonight. I was standing on an end zone because I was too lazy to walk all the way around to the bleachers. So I was standing in the end zone, and this mom was standing about 10 feet away from me. And about midway through the third quarter, her son made a tackle, and she screamed across the field, "It's about time you did something tonight." Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. John said, "Have y'all seen the Vols water tower in Iraq?" I have not. That is very interesting. Rebel Juice said Zephyr hats makes a very nice dark mode hat. Bought one at Cracker Barrel. I'm glad Cracker Barrel's still carrying that. They seem
Probably
to be
not much
redoing
longer.
a lot. Yeah. Matt said he wants that GBO hat before he goes to the whiteout in Starkville, Section 1, Row 7, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I hope seriously, I hope it's back before then, surely.
You might have to send some messages to Richardson and encourage them to change their production tactics.
That's pretty good. I kind of want to hear what's going to happen over there now. Dale, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. He said, why not go to 7 conference games and 2 games between conferences? Vols can play Indiana and Purdue. We can give, say, Penn State, Bama, and Georgia. See how they like that. Sign me up for that. I'm all for it. Whatever makes our schedule easier, I'm all for, because I want to go to the playoff every year. But that's just me. So with that being said, next Thursday, SEC football trivia night. Between now and then, we encourage you to sign up at thevolbros.com for college football pick'em challenge. It's so much fun. And then this Sunday night, we hope you join us, because we're going to have a little test run on some trivia by using the same platform that we're going to use next Thursday. We're going to test it out this Sunday night. So hope you're with us then at 9 o'clock p.m. We really do appreciate everybody joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We hope all of you have a great, great weekend. Big Orange said it's football time in Tennessee. It sure is, man. We're going to blink and it's going to be here. It's going to be amazing. Mino, like you said, thanks, fellas. We appreciate you, Mino, very much. We hope all of you have a great, great evening. Go Vols, baby. And we will see all of you very, very soon.